Now, I think we should start by talking about your life as a producer. You produce lots of artists, James, you too. What, for instance, when you're producing U2, what is your role? What do you do?
Well, I suppose I interfere at any point in the music to try to make it as good as I can imagine. So that would mean, for example, anything from the sound to the songwriting to the construction of a song, the structural arrangement to the working habits of the band.
And I mean, one of the brilliant things, I was in a studio once with Squeeze, and we found these cards, which are in some fortunate studios have these. I mean, some people have very sort of expensive new digital devices, but this was the most useful thing I've ever seen in the studio. And they're called oblique strategies. And basically, the idea that we were led to believe is when you came to a sort of dead end, you weren't quite sure what the next thing you should do is, you would open the box and pick out one of the cards and follow the strategy. And this is your invention, this whole thing. So I'm just going to pick out the first card at random, if I may, see what it says.
Ace of spades, no.
Listen to the quiet voice. Very good. So is that one of your strategies, to sort of take things away?
Exactly.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
No, those strategies, I noticed when I first started working in studios that when you're very in the middle of something, you forget the most obvious things. You come out of the studio and you think, why didn't we remember to do this or that? So these really are just ways of throwing you out of the frame, of breaking the context a little bit. So you're not a band in a studio focused on one song, but you're people who are alive and in the world and aware of a lot of other things as well. So it's a way of breaking the tendency to get the screwdriver out, you know.
And it would work, I would think, for anybody doing any artistic endeavour, really, just to change.
A lot of people use those, yeah. I even met a brain surgeon who said that he used these frequently.
Really?
Yes.
This is a quiet voice. Well, let me just see what. I'm just going to put one at random and imagine that the brain surgeon might have picked it up middle of an operation. Let's assume that it could have been any of us here. And is there something missing?
Exactly.
That's great. They always work. That's good. Very good. Yes, isn't it? Excellent. I'm so excited with it. But I'm going to use these throughout the show tonight, actually. I think it's worth it.
Watch out, boys.
Yeah. And I love the randomness.
There's some dangerous cards in there, I'll tell you.
Did you use the cards when making your own record?
I don't use them so much now because I've internalised them, so they're sort of in my head all the time, really.
Now, what are your influences? Because, I mean, you've played and produced...
Musical?
Yes.
Well...
And unmusical.
Well, my main influences are actually doo-wop, I'd say, gospel and avant-garde classical music. So they're sort of at the extremes of the spectrum. And I guess a lot of what I've been doing over the years is trying to invent a kind of music that could be both sort of intellectual, you might say, and passionate. Well, the passion bit, people have only just recently spotted, but it's always been there, I think. You know?
I think so too.
And the other big influence for me was painting. I was always, in fact, I studied as a painter, so a lot of my ideas in music really came from looking at paintings and wondering how you could make music like that. And the idea of ambient music was really an idea to make music that existed in a sort of steady state, like a painting or a sculpture does, instead of telling some kind of a story.
You clearly love music. What drives you to still be involved with it?
I suppose I've never really made the music I imagine could exist, you know, and as I say, this attempt to make music that, or actually the attempt to be a person who can live at the extremes of their passions and of their intellect at the same time is what keeps me going, and I want to make a music that could be like that.
Yeah.
It's hard, actually, because in pop music, of course, you're generally encouraged to live with the passions and pretend the intellect doesn't exist. And in classical music, you're encouraged to do the opposite, to pretend that nothing below your neck exists, you know. So it's to try to invent a new kind of music that covers the whole spectrum of human possibilities.
And brings
really.
the two together.
Yeah.
Because there's similarities between them all, aren't there?
Yeah.
Finally, I think we have to ask you, Roxy Music reformed, but you're not with them. Why did you decide not to go out with them?
I sort of want to do something new, really. Now, I'm not saying they won't do something new. I don't know what they're going to do, but I didn't fancy touring. I'm not very keen on touring anyway. And
did you consult the box? No, you've got it.
No, I didn't in this case.
In that case, what I'll say, like this in a marvellous way, is Brian Eno, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.